What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, as well as the next stimulus check package, the infrastructure/stimulus package, as well as what is going on in the world today. Some people, including many people, will be getting multiple checks, including checks in May, June, and July. We're going to go over who is going to be receiving these checks going forward, as well as checks after that as well. This is going to be a good one. Make sure to watch all the way to the end and hit the like button for us if you haven't yet. So, who is going to be receiving these checks that you speak of, Jimmy? Well, let me show you right now. First, we'll start with the checks starting in May, which is less than a week away at this point. As you can see here, the IRS refunds will start in May for the $10,200 unemployment tax break. This is passed from the third stimulus check package and basically is retroactive for last year in 2020. So if you had any unemployment money in 2020 and you filed your tax return like millions of people did before the third stimulus check package, well, the IRS says that they are going to automatically amend your tax return and send you an additional stimulus check for the money that is owed to you from this provision that was passed in the third stimulus check package. Basically, this makes the first $10,200 you had of any unemployment income last year completely tax-free, which means you already paid taxes on that and you now will be receiving a refund, and the average refund will be around $1,000 for these checks starting in May and likely going into June. May and June is likely when you will receive this check. If your tax bracket is higher, say it's in the 25% tax bracket, you could actually receive $2,500 back. This is just for you. If your spouse had unemployment income, they could receive a check as well as an additional check in the mail or even direct deposited to you. The IRS says this is going to start as early as May, which is less than a week away now at this point, and they're going to automatically adjust your tax return, which is pretty amazing that they're going to do this. We'll see if it works out according to plan. Well, because the IRS is extremely behind and understaffed at this point. It's also good to note that the IRS will automatically amend your tax return for the unemployment money. However, they won't amend your tax return in other ways. So, for example, if lowering your tax bracket there qualifies you for other types of stimulus items, such as the earned income tax credit, well, they won't credit you for that. So you might need an accountant or CPA or TurboTax or somebody to look into it if you can qualify for the adult earned income tax credit. I have a link to that down below in the description of this video about how you can receive $6,600 through the adult earned income tax credit. That is the mirror opposite of the child tax credits. There's child tax credits as well as adult earned income tax credits as well. So those checks will be going out in May and June and possibly via direct deposit. I will keep you up to date on the status of this as we get closer. Next up is the $3,000 to $3,600 child income tax credits that have already passed from the third stimulus check package. And yes, this means that you are going to receive $3,000 to $3,600 per child as long as you have a social security number and you make below the income requirements, which are the same as the third stimulus check package. The IRS is setting up a plan right now to start payments, monthly payments, starting in July. The way this is going to work is going to be $250 per month for any children you have between ages 6 and 17. That'll be for the second half of the year. The other half of the money from the first half of the year, you will get in a one lump sum on your taxes from this year. So you will receive that next year around March or April, whenever you get your tax return. So you'll be getting $250 monthly payments for 6 months and then a one lump sum. For children under the age of 6, it'll be $300 per month for July through December for the second half of the year, and then $1,800 per month, or I'm sorry, $1,800 for a one lump sum after that. Now, again, those monthly stimulus checks for children, the child tax credits, will start in July. However, The Democrats are pushing to have this included or expanded in the next infrastructure slash stimulus package, the American Families Plan. They want to extend this child tax credit all the way until 2025, is one of the provisions that we're likely going to see in this next stimulus package. This will mean that monthly stimulus checks will continue and will not just be for 6 months, but will actually be every month for the next 4 or 5 years until 2025. Again, $250 to $300 per month per child. So if you have 3 children, you're looking at $750 to $900 per month every single month from the government. And yes, this is already passed from the third stimulus check package. It's one of the best, if not the best, stimulus provision. Remember, this used to be as low as $500 or $1,000. Then former President Donald Trump raised it to $2,000, and now President Biden has raised it to $3,000 to $3,600. So this is the start of monthly stimulus checks. Will start in July, go to the end of December. Although if they pass this and continue it, it can likely go on and just continue on into next January, February, March, and every single month all the way until 25 or until your child hits age 18. They say that this will bring out over 50% of children out of poverty. We know that children can't work for themselves, and this is basically the government giving you a tax credit as a form of helping your child not be in poverty. So as long as you make below the income requirements, which is basically 75,000 to 80,000 per person, double that for a couple. And there's a common misconception about this that you need income for the child checks, the child income tax credits. And they made a new rule change in the third stimulus check package that says you don't even need earned income. As you can see here, you don't have to be employed to get it. The new provision allows households with no income to claim the credit. This is a major change, as previous rules limited the credit to those earning at least $2,500. In the past, families with very low incomes did not receive the full credit. So again, if you have no earned income or you're not employed, as long as you have a social security number, you will be receiving this $3,000 to $3,600 per child. Now, in addition to that, we also could see the fourth stimulus check pass as early as May or June. And yes, we're going to learn a lot more information about that this week. This week, President Biden is expected to give a speech about the second half of the infrastructure slash stimulus package known as the American Families Plan. The American Families Plan is where we will see the entire package is basically based on social plans and stimulus items, stimulus programs. We will see multiple different stimulus items in this second half of the infrastructure package. Now, the Democrats and Republicans are negotiating over the first part of the infrastructure package, which is $2.2 to $2.3 trillion dollars. And the Republicans have come up with a counter proposal that is less than $600 billion dollars and is less than one-fourth the size of what the Democrats want. As you can see here on the screen, this is the breakdown of graph breakdown of the physical infrastructure plan, which is the first part of it that they're negotiating right now. We actually could see some stimulus type programs come out of this. You notice the most amount of money comes for in-home care and also followed by affordable housing. We could see stimulus type items in there for home health care, maybe for senior living, affordable housing, maybe mortgage assistance or rental assistance, expanded to more people or made available to people who got it previously, as well as high speed broadband. We could see some programs that would actually make high speed internet possibly free to millions of Americans. And you can see most of the stuff focuses on physical infrastructure, but we could see several different stimulus type items out of some of these programs when all is said and done. Now, I still think it's unlikely that the Republicans and Democrats are going to come to a deal on the physical part of infrastructure, the first package, basically. Remember, the Senate parliamentarian has ruled that they can use two different reconciliation cards or packages to pass through the reconciliation process this fiscal year alone. So that means that they can pass two packages this year, so they could pass the physical infrastructure and the American Families Plan, where we're going to see the social programs and the stimulus items. They could pass those separately, completely on their own, just by the Democrats. Now, they're trying to come to terms with the Republicans, but if they do that, it's going to have to be a much smaller bill, likely around $1 trillion. I don't think the Republicans will come over $1 trillion. That's kind of been their standoff line, even in some of the past packages, most notably the second stimulus check package, had to be just under $1 trillion. And in fact, that package originally didn't include a stimulus check in there. Remember, there's been six stimulus packages, five under President Trump that were passed, one under President Biden, but only three of them had a stimulus check. So under former President Donald Trump, two out of the five had stimulus checks. And the second one, they originally introduced by the Republicans, that bill did not have a stimulus check in there. But it did have money for states and cities, which the Republicans hated, but it was a negotiation point between the Democrats. Well, when all was said and done, the push and the outcry and support was, hey, we can't pass this package without a stimulus check. And we've seen Republican Senator Josh Hawley and Democratic slash Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. We've seen them both stand up and say, we're not going to vote for this unless there's a stimulus check in there. And that was really great because although that particular movement didn't pass, in fact, they both stood up on the Senate floor and tried to do an up or down vote for a $1,200 stimulus check. That failed because Republican Senator Ron Johnson said, I object. So we didn't get a $1,200 stimulus check there, but we did end up getting a $600 stimulus check, which was better than nothing. $600 per person. If you had a family of four, I was $2,400. $2,400, nothing to sneeze at. Not quite as good as the $1,400 per person that we just got, but it was better than nothing. And what happened is they originally announced that package with no stimulus check in there, and then we've seen the push and the cry and the outcry and senators and Democrats coming together saying, we need another stimulus check in this package. So what they did was take the money away from the states and cities and said, okay, you guys get nothing. And they gave that to us in the form of the second stimulus check of $600 per person. That's the reason it was $600. Some kind of like, where do they come up with these numbers? Sometimes you wonder. Well, it became $600 because that was the exact amount of what was available for the states and cities. However, then at the time, President Trump, who was president, said, this $600 isn't enough. And I was thinking to myself, well, yeah, but it was just zero. So just sign the bill and let's get these stimulus checks out because the $600 per person is a whole lot better than zero. But President Trump at the time, who was president, said, no, we need to make these 2,000. And I was like, I remember reporting to it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's at the president's desk and he'll be signing it. The White House said they're going to sign it. And then I remember seeing the news in between videos. I was getting some comments from you guys saying, Jimmy, President Trump's not going to sign the bill. And I think I even responded to some people and said, yeah, right. The White House already said they're going to respond. It's just stop spreading misinformation, right? Fake news, right? And then lo and behold, I was like, oh my God, President Trump isn't going to sign the bill. And I was like, why would he do that? I'm like, it took us forever to get this package. You remember we waited all summer and through the election for that package. And I was like, Trump's got to sign this. He's got to. I mean, there's a check in there. There's all these different things in there. And he's like, yeah, but he wants to make the stimulus check $2,000. I was like, for real? I was like, okay, let's do it. And that's exactly what happened. It passed in the House. It had Republican and Democratic support, led by Nancy Pelosi, obviously, because she's the House Speaker. But obviously, that came from President Trump, who's a Republican. But the Democrats were in charge of the House, so they passed it and sent it over to Mitch McConnell, who was in charge of the Senate, who's also a Republican. You would think President Trump Republican, Mitch McConnell Republican. All right, cool. They're on board. They're on the same party, right? We're good to go. Nope, didn't work out that way, did it? Right? We know at this point that Mitch McConnell said, "I'm going to be the one man in America," well, along with Senator Ron Johnson, to prevent everybody from getting a stimulus check. So he didn't even let the $1,400 go to a vote. and it died in the Mitch McConnell graveyard. By the way, Mitch McConnell's proud of his graveyard. You can look it up. There's past interviews where he said he's proud to send bills that he doesn't agree with to his graveyard, his Mitch McConnell graveyard, he calls it. However, again, we come up with these arbitrary numbers for $600 stimulus checks. Where do they come up with this number 600? Where do they come up with this number 1400? Well, the 1400 kind of came about because President Trump said make it 2000. So 600 plus the 1400 equals 2000. So the Cash Act was born for $1,400, and Mitch McConnell didn't let it go to a vote. But then we know that President Biden, when he came into office, ran with the $1,400, and they basically said, we will complete the task to give you that full $2,000. You already got the 600. Now we're going to pass that additional $1,400. And while we know they did pass that third stimulus check, again, an oddball number of $1,400. However, this time around, they not only did $1,400 for adults, but they did $1,400 for each child as well. So if you had four children or two adults, two children, you were looking at $5,600, which previously the child checks were only $500 and $600. And they long included the adult dependents, and college student dependents who were left out of the first and second stimulus check. This time around, they got $1,400, which was pretty awesome. We will likely see those same criteria because the Democrats passed that bill completely on their own. And even if they come to a deal with Republicans on the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure package, it's almost impossible to think that a deal will happen on the second half, the American Families Plan, because there's so much stimulus items in there, which really, what could we see in there? We could see the fourth stimulus check. We have almost 100 Democrats pushing for monthly recurring stimulus checks, at least until the pandemic is over, of $1,000 to $2,000 per month. We could see, I personally think that we're not going to see it at first. And then I think we're going to see the same thing happen with the second stimulus check. We're going to see the outcry and the push. And when they get closer and closer to passing it, they're going to say, we have almost all the Democrats pushing for a fourth stimulus check. We got to include it. And by that time, we'll be moving farther and farther away from the third stimulus check. Remember, the third stimulus check, really 2 million more checks just went out this week. So in a lot of eyes of the lawmakers, they're thinking, oh, the third stimulus check is just went out. Okay, even though some of you guys may have gotten it a month ago at this point. I think the further away we get from it, the more and more push we'll see for that fourth stimulus check, possibly the recurring stimulus checks. I do think they're going to for sure include, well, nothing's for sure, right, until they pass it. Even if it's announced at first, nothing's for sure until they pass it. I think we're going to see multiple items added in after the fact of what they announced, because we're going to just see a lot of Democrats pushing for this. And remember, the Democrats are going to have to pass this package 99% chance on their own, the American Families Plan. So all they need is to get all the Democrats on board. They don't need Republicans, so they don't have to negotiate with them. But I do think that they're going to include the child income tax credits to at least 2025. There's a lot of Democrats that want them to make it permanent. So basically, that would mean stimulus checks monthly, every month, $250 to $300 per month for any child under the age of 17 or 18, as long as you have a social security number and meet below the income requirements, basically until they're 18. And this would continue on. This program's been in effect before, but it was smaller amounts and you had to get it on your tax return. Now they're paying it out in monthly stimulus checks, and they've basically made the program worth almost double. So I think we're going to see at least till 2025. We could see the push and the outcry to have that increased permanently. And by permanently, that would mean until a future administration changes it. So a Republican administration could come in the next 4 years, a Republican president, and they could change it again in a future legislation. So that would mean that's what permanent would mean. I also think we're going to see a huge outcry to have the Social Security SSI. We have this new SSI bill proposal for $279 per month for the SSI Social Security program. We have that long awaited $200 per month Social Security increase for everybody on Social Security. I think we're going to see a big push for that. I think we're going to probably see a big push for college, free college, that we just had a bill introduced this week that will literally provide free college to, for the most part, there's some criteria in there, but we really won't know the details on that until it's actually in a bill. So we're not going to go too in depth on it because at this point it's just a proposal and a push. But basically, it's free college for anybody making less than $125,000, which would absolutely transform the way education in America happens. And you wouldn't have to go to school and get 100 or $200,000 of college debt, especially if you end up going to school for a fifth year. I mean, college is just outrageous. The price of college, the price of healthcare, the price of health insurance, and the price of a prescription are all getting out of control. And that's another thing, is they could force prescriptions lower in this package by passing a bill or doing it through presidential executive order or whatnot. I think we're going to see that in the near future. Bernie Sanders is very behind that. He's considered President Biden's right hand man, and he's the Senate budget chairman, the person in charge of the reconciliation process. They're going to force these big pharmaceutical companies to give Americans and the American government, who buys billions and hundreds of billions of dollars of medicine every year for the different programs, they're going to force these big pharmaceutical companies to give it to us for the same price that they give it to other countries for. So basically, if you give insulin to the United Kingdom and Canada for $7, there's no way you should be charging us $98 per vial. Okay, they're going to force them to do that, and I think that that is going to happen here in the near future. So, like I said, there's a lot of different stimulus items and proposals, and I honestly probably forgot about 5 or 10 of them. I had a recent video where I went over the 15 different stimulus items that are being pushed for and negotiated on right now. I'll link you to that here in just a second. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates. Remember, new videos come out every day on our show at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss a video because we talk about different programs in different videos. And sometimes it's just what is going on in our country and what's going on today. You can click this video here to watch the video about all the stimulus items. There's about 15 of them that they're currently talking about right now. And this video is about the Social Security increase, monthly increase. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.